best wrestling podcast in the world. Fact, the road-wearing original Pete, the believing, power of positivity, keeping it Rollins, the Summit. Fact, the homicidal, the genocidal, the ECW loving, daring young creeping, Mr. No Days Off, Scott. Fact, the biscuit and gravy eating, Naomi loving, lunatic craving, the melting pot, JP, and you can bank on that. Fact, the Bailey hugging, the interrupting, the Jaeger drinking, mouth of the Carolinas, Lil Steven. Fact.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
I miss you, Darren Young. Little Steven, Darren Young, in an evening gown match with Pat Patterson. Little Steven gets a little French-Canadian in him. Jeff Hardy's going to face Jay Leno in a steel chairs match. People are just jealous because I got skills.
Here's my issue. Is it worse to get beat by one midget or three? Little Steven in a beer drinking contest with Naomi. I had this big issue with people. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Just kept it Rollins. Jimmy Hart, Triple X-Pac against Lil Steven in a microphone on a pole match. Anything can happen. Lightweight. If you don't want it, then don't bark it.
We're three-man band. That's horrible. I don't want to make you look bad.
You're fired, sir. When you want to hear me mess up, they're in Radioland. When you want to hear me not mess up, I did not know that. Wow. Wrestling with attitude. When you want your beer, awesome. And that's right. Welcome back to Wrestling with Attitude, where you can get your beer. Pretty awesome.
Oh, Lord. Thank you, JoJo, for liking the new theme, the beer money thing. I love that one. Also, you asked before, while we were at break, what happened to the Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber, they don't like to use anymore because the injuries, concussions, everything else that can happen now. They did away with the pay-per-view. But they probably will add back that match at some point. But they're trying to spice it up a little bit. They usually do that.
And also has to do with the big old TVs or whatever in the most arenas, right? Because they stopped. Apparently, it's not high enough up to raise it above the ring or something like that. So they're trying to do away with it, I guess. But yeah, I guess the injuries and stuff, there's just too many. There have been way too many injuries in the chamber.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, that's the reason they did away with the Elimination Chamber. But
you'll see it again.
Yeah, you'll just like anything, you see it once again. Oh. They like to spice it up a little bit. What's next on the show?
Well, let us go into my favorite segment. It's called Wrestling with Attitude's Dirty What If.
It's not dirty anymore.
Is it not? Oh.
You got a cramp in your neck.
Oh, that was good. Anyways.
He's retired. Yep, see you later. I suspended your contract. It's frozen.
Oh, man, that was good. All right, so let's go into our What If segment.
Nasty. Nasty. What if? What if? What if? What if? Too dirty to clean my act up.
I gotta play that song tonight.
Do you really?
Yeah, I like that song.
You don't find it and play it, huh?
Yeah, I have it. I actually have it.
You don't have a bunch of these other ones, but you have that one.
Yeah.
All right. So what is it? Oh, I got the what if, don't I? Mm-hmm. I don't think we ever did this one, but we'll go back to it if we did. What if Stunning Steve Austin had been given a brief run as WCW champion back when he was the Dangerous Alliance? What would happen if he was the champion? Because he was never given a chance as WCW champion.
As the actual champ.
As the champ. He was U.S. champ, but he never actually won the world title in WCW.
Well, it's like...
JoJo said that was a good one. Thanks, man.
I guess you wouldn't see him... you see him as Stone Cold at some point. I do believe that. It was going to happen, but I think we would have saw a longer run of Steve Austin. Maybe no Hollywood Blondes. Or wait, no, the Hollywood Blondes were before, right? Before. Okay, so never mind. You still would have saw the Hollywood Blondes. I think you would have seen some great rivalries with him versus some other members of maybe the Alliance, maybe of you would have saw some more people.
Actually, I got one for you. If he would have been the champion, I couldn't imagine how good a him versus Sting match would have been. Oh. Because back then it was the blonde-headed Sting. It would have been. I think that's what they missed in WCW back then. Would there be a WWE? Yeah, that's another point. Would there be a WWE if that worked? Because I don't know, dude. I mean, because you would never have the Stone Cold gimmick. You would have had the Stunning Steve Austin gimmick worked in WCW. But if they put him against Sting for the world title, too, and I mean they would tour. That would have been the next great rivalry. Because at the time, Sting was the man. Yeah. And, you know, that's something WCW never did. They never went with the younger guy. Yeah. And if they would have set the tone back then, hey, let's go with this Stunning Steve guy and put him against Sting and see what they can do. Instead of having Ric Flair versus Vader and all these older guys, you know, bringing Hogan in. You might not have had to bring in Hogan. You know, you might not even had to bring in Hogan.
Yeah, no, I think you might be right. I think if Steve Austin would have done that, I think he would have been known. I mean, he was already known before he came to WWE, but he would have been even more. You would have known this guy even more. And that transition, if he ever did do the badass with the shaved head and everything else, would have been amazing. Just amazing to me for him to transition if it would have happened. I mean, could you see that though? If he was a WCW champion, goes from being the champion, having all these great rivalries, and then shaves his head, goes to WWE, and becomes Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would be the greatest thing ever to me.
What, if he was a champion in WCW and then went to be... But we don't know if that would happen.
That would have been so cool.
If he was the champion, they wouldn't let him go. Now, you got to remember, when he was making this run in WCW at the time, it was run by Bill Watts. What hurt Steve Austin is when Bill Watts left, Eric Bischoff came in and is the one that said, no, we don't need you, or we don't want to use you. That's the reason I'm saying if Bill Watts will put him as a champion before Bischoff came in, maybe Bischoff would have kept him and ran with him and Sting together for the title. You know, because I think that could have saved WCW. I really think that could have saved WCW. Because, you know, the NW, and maybe not. I mean, Bischoff came in, maybe they wouldn't have to hand it over to Bischoff. You know, maybe Bischoff would have came in and turned Steve Austin into the NWO guy. What if he became the NWO leader? You know, with the other two. It's a lot of what ifs, but
it is.
But you know, Steve Austin could have been the Hulk Hogan of NWO.
And Hulk Hogan would have never left. I think Hulk Hogan would have came back to WWE during the Attitude Era. We would have saw a different Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, probably, but you know, it all worked out. You know, I think where it will help the most would have been Stone Cold or Steve Austin fighting Sting, because at the time Steve Austin was awesome as Stunning Steve.
Oh yeah,
he was a great technical wrestler, and they would have been great together. I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I agree.
But that's one of my what ifs. The other one I'll ask real fast. What Bobby Lashley, he left TNA 6 years ago today and to concentrate fully on his MMA career. Then he after 6 years of missing wrestling, came back this past year and won the World Heavyweight title. What would happen if he never left and he stayed TNA completely?
He would have been I think he would have been a world heavyweight or a WWE champion at least 3 times.
You think he would have went back to WWE?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know. I don't think he would have went back to WWE.
I think he would have had some really good rivalries with some, did him and Cena ever really have a rivalry?
No.
You could have saw that.
Yeah, but I don't think he would have went back to WWE.
You don't?
No. I think once he left the TNA, I think he liked the schedule.
Yeah.
He didn't have to be the schedule he liked. And there was other things he liked. And he loves Kurt Angle. You know, Angle got him really started in wrestling, and he didn't want he was happy with TNA. I think he was a TNA guy.
Yeah, but he could have been the one that brought Angle back.
True.
Think about it that way. If he would have went back to WWE,
Well, he didn't have that much pull.
no, but I think him and Angle have a little bit of history.
Oh, they have a little bit of history, yeah.
So,
All right. Well, there's our wrestling what
some
ifs.
good what ifs.
Thank you. One other news I forgot when we did goodbyes earlier. ECW legend Axel Rotten passed away at age 44 after various injuries. Axel Rotten, in case you don't know, ECW during their prime time area, but he passed away this week.
Axel
age 44.
effing Rotten.
Yep.
I remember. I don't know why. I remember him very vividly, actually.
A lot of matches, Balls, Mahoney, guys like that. He wrestled in the ECW. They had a good rivalry. So, but yeah, much, prayers, respect with him and his family.
Well, let's get into some This Week in Wrestling history. Got a lot of birthdays this week. I don't know why. February 8th, 1972, The Big Show was born. Paul White in Aiken, South Carolina.
Yep. How old is he now? 58.
What?
Did you say 58?
No, 1972 is when he...
He's 40. He's 43, 44.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought it... Wow, okay. February 8, 2009, TNA held Against All Odds at the Impact Zone. In the main event, Sting defended the TNA Championship against Kurt Angle, Brother Ray, and Brother Devon.
A lot of brothers.
A lot of brothers in there. Surprised Hulk Hogan wasn't there.
Yeah.
February 10th, 1990, a New Japan wrestling show at the Tokyo Dome featured wrestlers from New Japan versus All Japan draws. 63,900 fans.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a lot for in the Tokyo Dome.
No, that is a lot. And next week we'll talk more about TNA, some NXT news coming up, all that stuff.
Some bad news. February 10th, 2003, Kurt Hennig passed away at the age of 44 due to an overdose. Yeah. February 10th, 2008, though, TNA held Against All Odds in Greenville, South Carolina. In the main event, Kurt Angle defended the TNA Championship against no other Christian.
That's for sure.
February 11, 1964, Ken Shamrock was born. Ken Kilpatrick in Macon, Georgia. Did not know he was from Macon, Georgia. Huh.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't. February 11, 1973, Hernandez was born. Sean Hernandez in Houston, Texas. And a few more left here. February 11, 1996, WCW held Super Brawl 6 in St. Petersburg, Florida. In the main event, Hulk Hogan defeated the Giant in a steel cage match. I remember that one, too. February 11th for 2006, for those Ring of Honor fans out there, Ring of Honor held Unscripted 2 in Long Island, New York. In the main event, the team of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson defeated the team of Jimmy Rave and Adam Pearce. February 12th, 1960, one-man gang, also known as Akeem, was born George Gray in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Sweet.
And here's one for Scott. February 13, 1971, Tommy Dreamer was born Thomas Laughlin in Yonkers, New York. And, of course, February 14th, for all you Valentine Day people out there, 1999, WWF held St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Memphis, Tennessee. In the main event, Steve Austin defeated Mr. McMahon in a steel cage match.
Was that it? You missed on a birthday. Alundra Blaze was born this week, too.
Well, happy birthday, Alundra Blaze. There's a lot of birthdays, man.
February's a good month. JoJo asked real fast, what do we think? Does Daniel Bryan come back? Does he ever wrestle again and come back like Shawn Michaels?
No. Because Shawn Michaels never really retired the first time. Not like this. I'm sorry. They made it too big of a deal. To me, I don't think that. Because I feel he wants to move on from his life. He really does want to move on. And I don't see him coming back for a second run in WWE. Now, I do see him showing back up, but I don't see him wrestling ever in the ring again. And if I'm wrong on that. But from what it looked like last night, I don't believe he will return to the ring.
I don't ever see him coming back.
Yeah.
If you watch, from everything I've heard from Daniel Bryan, Brie Bella, is they want to have a family.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be away from his family. So I think after this, he's done. He's 34. Brie Bella's at the end of her career. After Mania, I would be surprised you see her again.
Yeah.
It's a time and place. I think Daniel Bryan's done. He wasn't a guy that I thought was stuck around till age 40 anyway. He was going to be done within a couple years anyway, because money doesn't matter to him supposedly. Wrestling matters, but I think he would rather gone out in his last match at Mania or something like that. But I think he's done, dude. He's done. If he's worried about his brain, and he doesn't need to come back.
No.
So he's done.
I would agree with that. He needs to take some time off, especially if he has brain injuries. He needs to get those looked at, and he needs to take some time and assess things, and evaluate where he is in life.
Right.
So, because that is a huge, huge step, especially when you have those type of injuries. I've never had that type of injury, but it's not one you can recover very well from.
No, absolutely. But I think he's done. And if he comes back, force him to quit. Well, and that's the rumor, is that WWE did not want to release him because he wanted to go wrestle somewhere else. And they kind of froze his contract like they did with Rey Mysterio years ago. If that's the case, I feel bad. There's independent doctors that said he was okay. But the WWE doctors have said no from the get-go, that he's not healthy. You can't let him wrestle. And that's another situation. They wouldn't let him out of his contract. If he does get out of his contract, I don't know where he would have went anyway. He wouldn't have went to TNA. The only place I could have seen him go was back to Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Well, you go back to Ring of Honor or New Japan, you have to work a different schedule, and you have to be away from your family. I don't see. I feel kind of sorry for the guy that he needs to retire. I feel sorry he's got to retire. That's it. I don't feel sorry for him because he wants to be with his family anyway.
Yeah.
You know, Bree wants him to retire last year. You know, he's had 3, I don't know how many concussions. He had 3, he said, early, but he's probably had 10, 20 concussions and broke his shoulder and everything else. He's a small guy. He wouldn't have lasted long anyway.
No.
If he even, that's what we said 2-3 years ago when he really got into it. His body was not going to last.
No.
Shawn Michaels was bigger. Okay? Shawn Michaels did different. Shawn Michaels adjusted his in-ring style when he came back.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Bryan never did that.
No.
And you have to. When you get older, you can't do the same things when you're younger. You just can't.
Yeah, I'm learning
You know,
that.
look at not CM Punk. Look at Undertaker. Undertaker's not doing everything he used to do.
No, he's not. Yeah.
You know, and he still puts on good matches, but Daniel Bryan has to, and if he wrestles again, he's going to have to slow down.
Yeah.
But there's no way he goes TNA. There's no way he goes TNA.
I don't see him fitting in
There's
TNA.
a bunch of. He's a small guy. JoJo said he's a small guy. There's a lot of small guys. Okay, let me name one guy that's really over right now as a small guy. Seth Rollins is not a small guy, you know, and he trains differently than Daniel Bryan. He does a lot of CrossFit and a lot of other things. Seth Rollins isn't a small guy like that. Dean Ambrose isn't a small guy. Those guys aren't small guys.
Nah, there really isn't anybody.
You got Lucha Dragons are smaller.
You got Kalisto. That's about
But
it.
guess who's already been hurt? Kalisto's been hurt and Sin Cara's been hurt. Kobe. He said Kobe. Kobe who?
Kofi.
Oh, Kofi. Kofi's been hurt, but Kofi's a mid-card guy.
Yeah.
And mid-card is different than a world heavyweight guy.
Yeah.
Kofi's also in a tag team.
But for his age and the style that Kofi does, I'm surprised he's still doing
But some
what
guys
he's doing,
can hold
you know?
up better. Just Daniel, look at what Kofi did, what Daniel Bryan did.
Yeah.
Okay? Daniel Bryan did a lot more than Kofi Kingston has.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay? Kofi doesn't dive out of the ring every single time the way Daniel Bryan did.
True.
He's a fragile guy, dude. He just is. And look at the workout. Kofi does different things than Daniel Bryan.
Oh, no, I mean, I agree with you.
I just, I feel bad that he has to retire.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad that he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
He'll probably come back he might come back as a general manager at some point of Raw or, something like that. But as far as wrestling, he doesn't need to be. He had a great 3-4 year run with the company. It has come to an end.
Yeah.
Speaking of ends.
Speaking of ends.
So you guys think fans are to blame? Partial. I think the Yes Movement pushed him longer.
Really?
Yeah. Part of the WWE Universe and the Yes Movement turned Daniel Bryan into a sensation. But if you go to other arenas other than Seattle or Washington, they're not a whole bunch of yes chants.
Yeah, no, but again, it's like we said, it's because it's his home. It's because it's his hometown. Like most places, when it's their hometown, it's,
But to me, Daniel Bryan had his best matches against a CM Punk, against a John Cena, guys who are really great.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Daniel Bryan fan. I never have been. Mm-hmm. He was a good world champion, not WWE champion. Mm. He is not.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to Wrestling with Attitude. there's not much more else to say to that. This was our What If segment. This is a great show. Tune in with us next week here at Wrestling with Attitude. Go to WrestlingWithAttitude.com. Like us on Facebook, yada, yada, yada. Tweet us at WWA Show, Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes. Check it out. Wrestling with Attitude. We're all over the world.
And have a good week in wrestling.
So I set out across that way, strike them down to make them pay, and change their ways, their evil ways. But I can't hide. Whoa.